Welcome to the Sporting Chat with me, Marc, your host for episode 5 of the 2016 Sporting Chat podcast. A really short and sweet podcast for our listeners today. It's based on NBA trade deadlines, what's happened, what's going to happen, what I think for the upcoming season or the remainder of the season for that, and the push to the playoffs. And yeah, really just quick catch up with people that have been following and listening to us for the last couple of weeks. So, howdy. First things first, I wanted to just run off. We've got a new website that will be getting launched hopefully in the next couple of weeks. The Sporting Chats webpage. I really appreciate everybody that's got on and joined in some of our debates via Twitter at the Sporting Chat. It's been good fun speaking to guys across the world, really, on all things, particularly the NBA the last couple of times. So keep that coming. If you see anything that you disagree with or anything you would like to for us to chat about, then drop us a message or drop us a tweet at the Sporting Chat. So, as I said, we want to run through the NBA trade deadline there and a couple of deals that I was quite impressed with. A couple of deals that took me by surprise a little, but obviously we didn't get the blockbuster deal that we were all hoping for. All to do with the cap going up at the end of the season. People's contracts really not worth handing out assets for. A couple of deals that I wanted to kind of highlight just now was the work that the Pistons done. They're getting Tobias Harris. And a deal from the Orlando Magic and sending Brandon Jennings and Ilyasova the other way. A bit surprised that the Magic gave up on Harris so quickly, considering he's 22. Very good contract considering the size of the salary cap for the next couple of years, and I think he's got a lot to grow. I think the Pistons have come up with a steal, to be honest, with giving up Brandon Jennings only. Obviously his contract's about to expire. Ilyasova, very good piece, don't get me wrong, can shoot the three, can play defence and things, but Tobias Harris I think could possibly be a star under the right sort of tutelage there, and Stan Van Gundy definitely think would be one of the best places for him to learn his craft, so really impressed with that bit of business. Marquise Morris finally getting out of the Suns organisation out of Phoenix, and that was a bit of a disaster as this whole kind of season's plodded on, and we're all wondering where he was going to end up. So he's finally landed himself in Washington, which again, the reason I'm highlighting it is because I think he's a really good player. I think his head just wasn't in being in Phoenix. Felt like they treated him, or he felt that they treated him not very well. And a fresh start, no excuses. This Wizards team are making a huge push outside the playoffs at the moment. But I've done, in my opinion, a couple of really good bits of business. Bringing in Morris, so being able to stretch the floor at the 3 or the 4 position, even playing 5 sometimes, depending how small they go. They gave up Chris Humphries, Dejounte Blair, and a protected first round pick. All these things, the players are, no offence to them, I suppose, are kind of irrelevant. The pick, depending on how it lands there, protected outside top 8. So realistically, they're going to give up the pick, but for where they are in terms of the personnel on the team, it's definitely it's definitely a worthwhile trade in my opinion. Really looking forward to seeing how he develops with no excuses anymore of performing, not liking where he's going to be. He's got a great backcourt in John Wall and Bradley Beal, Marcin Gortat at the 5, Nene at the 4, Otto Porter. It's a very good team, and obviously with Marquise Morris now in the mix as well, and with JJ Hickson getting picked up the last couple of days off the waivers from the Denver Nuggets. I think that's two cracking bits of business for the Wizards. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how they push towards the playoffs. As I say, the Eastern Conference really tight at that bottom end at the moment, and a number of teams, making a push with the last sort of 25, 30 games of the season to go. Last sort of trade that I wanted to highlight, really, and if there's any other trades that I've missed, obviously there's a couple, Courtney Lee heading to Charlotte, Sheldon Mack heading to the Jazz, but the one that Channing Frye as well, heading to the Cleveland Cavaliers. The one that I was shocked at the most really was Jeff Green landing in LA. I thought this is maybe the best bit of business of the trade deadline from the Clippers' point of view. They got rid of the cancer really that was Lance Stevenson. They got rid of Josh Smith earlier in the year, which were the two negative influences in the locker room, and they've got a great piece back. Previously a top 5 pick in the draft. He's never really shown up to that sort of level in terms of being the superstar player in Jeff Green. But landing in LA, playing with Blake, possibly depending on hand, but DeAndre Jordan, Chris Paul, JJ Redick, the list goes on. Having one of the best coaches in the NBA, in my opinion, in Doc Rivers, he's in a prime position to contribute on a championship pushing team, really, and to give up just Lance, who, let's be honest, his contract was brilliant for what it was. 3 years, $21 million when he signed. It was just, and he was just not working for the Clippers. And seeing him in the Grizzlies the last couple of days hasn't been much better, unfortunately, for him. But again, from LA's point of view, it boosts their bench, depending if they bring him off the bench. Obviously with Paul Pierce on the roster as well, time playoffs come. But again, just overall a great bit of business for them, and Doc Rivers probably doing the best trade that he has done as GM/head coach so far. So we'll see how that plays out. Time playoffs come. That Western Conference at the top of the standings at the moment is absolutely stacked. The Clippers sitting there in the fourth spot, 37-20 so far this season, behind only the Thunder, the Spurs, and the mighty Warriors. They've got a couple of games ahead of the Grizzlies, who have unfortunately gone through some major injuries, with Marc Gasol just being confirmed as being out for the entire season, which is an absolute shame for such an all-star calibre centre in a league full of sort of short, small guys all shooting the threes. He's one of the old school centres, so sorry and sad to see him out, especially being a foot injury. Big guys tend to take a little bit longer healing from these broken feet. But yeah, in terms of the Clippers, I wrote an article about them earlier in the season, thinking that they need to either shake up massively, as in let's trade one of their big pieces, or they need to build around these pieces, to make another attempt. Realistically, going through the Thunder, the Spurs, and the Warriors, it's going to be an almighty task. And me and Scott, as in Whack, who you've heard us do a lot of podcasts with, we were talking about this the other day, that we're just dying for the playoffs to start. If we could just get to the second round of this playoffs, there's going to be some cracking matchups throughout that time. So really looking forward to that. But we're jumping ahead as per on these quick podcasts, just blasting information out as per usual. Today found out that it was launched through through Twitter on the Brooklyn Nets Twitter page there that they've waived Joe Johnson. They've agreed a buyout with him, so he'll be cleared waivers within the next couple of days. So it's an almighty blast really for suitors of Joe Johnson. Who is he going to end up playing with? Who's the best fit for him is maybe the better question. He's obviously wanting to go somewhere that he's going to have a chance to win a championship. Obviously playing the playoffs in Brooklyn season the last few years haven't been great, but we'll see. Huge report coming out the Atlanta Journal today as well that he's interested in a return back to the Atlanta Hawks. With ESPN's Marc kind of backing that story up earlier today, saying that the Hawks were also interested. Obviously, Joe Johnson spent 7 seasons, I think it was, with the Hawks before signing with the Nets back in 2012. So that'll be quite interesting. There's a couple of different suitors, in my opinion. Obviously, the Celtics, veteran scorer, bit bigger. When they play that small guard lineup at the end of games with Marcus Smart, Avery Bradley, and Isaiah Thomas, they are always undersized. And Joe Johnson in the mix there would definitely give them the scoring option, as well as a bit of size. Maybe not as much defence, but bigger body nonetheless. The Cavs are always interested in anybody that's going to make them better. Realistically, the Cavs' main threat is matching up with either the Warriors, the Spurs, or the Thunder. That's the mindset. They've got the thought that they're going to come out with a very tough Eastern Conference, but they've got the confidence that they're going to do that. So it'll be interesting to see if Joe Johnson fits their plans for matching up with one of the Western Conference teams there. Houston, Miami, the Thunder, all these teams. One team I would, if I was one team's GM, I would be looking at Joe Johnson, would be the Toronto Raptors. For me, this season they've been, besides the Warriors, they'd probably be the best team to watch all year. So dynamic offensively. Defensively, they've been very solid, and I do think they're one or two pieces away from really challenging the Cavs at the top of the Eastern Conference. Now, they are only 3 games behind, but at the same time, the Cavs have got sort of superstar talent that I think they would definitely push through in a 7-game series. So having this collective unit for Toronto is key to try and not only obviously beat the Cavs time playoff comes, but if they can beat them in the regular season, catch up those 3 games, it would make a massive difference getting home court advantage through their entire playoff run, obviously in the East. So again, just a little. That was my 50 pence on Joe Johnson and where the best sort of suitors are for him, and we'll sort of take it on from there. I really wanted to kind of finish up this short podcast on the season as a whole so far. I mentioned the Raptors; they were my point number 1 that I wanted to mention. So I haven't jumped on every other podcast bandwagon with the Warriors right off the bat. I'm going to jump on them at number 2. The play of Steph Curry this season has been phenomenal, and it pains me to say a little bit, because it has just been so repetitive in terms of, the Warriors win. And I suppose that's what happens when you're 51-5, through the first 56 games of the season. Phenomenal start. At the end of the day, they're still on track to obviously break the 72-10 all-time record for regular season wins. Honestly, I wouldn't like to see them do it. I think they've got a very good chance. But again, the only reason I don't want to beat them is because it's Michael Jordan's Bulls team. I love the fact that we're getting a chance to watch history in the making, really, with this team hunting it down. But at the end of the day, it doesn't mean anything unless they actually win the ring at the end of the season. So it'll be a great. As I say, I'm really looking forward to it. They've got a couple of big games over the next couple of weeks. They're in the midst of their 7-game road trip at the moment, and that leads me on with their 7-game road trip. They started in Portland playing the Trailblazers. Excuse me, and honestly, this is probably the biggest surprise of the season for me so far. Portland Trailblazers. Damian Lillard has been unbelievable. Obviously, put up 51 against the Warriors, which right off his All-Star snub, and yeah, took it to the best team in the league, and pretty much lit them up. Simple, just lit them up. They will, at the moment, sitting in the 6th seed in the Western Conference, and to be honest with you, there's no way I would have been able to tell you that. If you gave me odds on them being in this position at the start of the season, I would have taken the money off you, not a problem. So, all credit, Terry Stotts, definitely in the running for Coach of the Year, in my opinion. He's really got Damian Lillard and CJ McCallum playing so well, playing at an all-star level, or just under an all-star level if you're the coaches, but a real great team ethos, very young as well, so looking forward to seeing them the rest of the way. To be honest, that's pretty much my quick chat today. I say quick chat, but it's over 15 minutes, which I was looking for. Excuse me, I should have definitely got myself some water before jumping on today. But if you managed to listen through so far, I really appreciate it. Over the next couple of weeks, we're going to be introducing a couple of new items through the Sporting Chat. The website's going to be coming live. I want to be doing our UFC podcast. I've still not managed to get through that totally yet. Obviously, with the chops and changes that are coming up through the UFC recently, it's been a bit of a nightmare. Hoping to definitely get that involved. We'd love to do a couple of podcasts on football, as in the Premiership, looking at the whole build-up of how Leicester are still top of the Premiership and pushing, hopefully, towards a Champions League spot. And I've got a couple of interviews hopefully lined up as well. Local football teams, local basketball club as well that would like to do some interviews through. So all things new 2016 for the Sporting Chat. Hoping to take it on to another level. So any clubs, anybody that's in the area, if you would like to get involved, please let us know at the Sporting Chat. Drop us an email, thesportingchat@gmail.com. We'll be happy to come down, do an interview after the game, watch your game, even comment through the game. We've done that with one of the senior women's basketball teams for the West Lothian Wolves a couple of months ago, where we've done the running sort of score throughout the game. Went down well when they were playing the Dunfermline Rain. But again, all things, more than happy to take a stab in the dark with any sport really. We love it over this way, so get in touch, guys. Appreciate you listening. Take care.